Hello and welcome again to Jimmy's Train Station. Hi, I'm Uncle Jimmy and we're doing another show today. And this one is going to be another Bar Mills scale model laser cut. Like I said, I like working with laser cut models. And this is the model from Bar Mills. It's called Fensters Fresh Market. It's like a produce market. And let's open the box here and see what we have in it. I really like working with these models and especially this brand. I like this brand. I like Fosk models. I like Carolina Craftsman models. And if you watch another YouTube channel, a good friend of mine that I started watching and learning a lot of this from is Jason Jensen Trains. He has some products that he has built, and you can buy one of his kits off of Craftsman also. So let's see what's in this box. We have roofing, of course, always nice to have. It's got the backing, self-adhesive backing. Now you can actually paint these before you start the model. Let it dry and then just peel off and stick to your roof. Okay, as always, it comes with directions here. They always have fine detailed directions. And for you first time modelers, I'd recommend that you read the whole pamphlet of directions before you even start. And then I like looking through it, and you have a page here that shows all your parts, and I always make sure all my parts are there before I even start. So it's always good to read through, especially if you're a new modeler. They even included a book here of some of their other models and a price guide, which is really nice. Like I said, I really love their models. I mean, they have some beautiful models to put together. And I mainly do HO scale. This is another model I'd like to get eventually. It's called Shipyard Brewing Company. You always get your little metal castings, which is really nice. Got some chimneys in there, it looks like, and maybe some barrels, a fuel tank here. You have a little crate box there with things on top of it. And of course you have your doors and your windows. Then you always have your bracing and your wood for your side of your buildings. And it's important with the bracing, like in the other video that I showed, that you do that. Got some smaller pieces of wood here. It's probably for trim. Then you always get your little packet here. It includes all your wooden parts and your roofing that you always get nicely packed in plastic. And again, some more wood bracing. So, as we get started here, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to build this model together. And I'm going to show you all the complete steps as I go through it. So sit back and enjoy, and we will get started on this video. Thank you. Okay, folks, we're back, and what I've done is I've already made sure all the parts are there, and they were, and I popped out the main pieces for the building out of the wood sprue. And when you do that, just be careful not to break it because the pieces are really fragile. Excuse me. And these are like the building parts. And then I have them all over here too. And what we have done is looked at the directions here, and it shows you exactly where to brace. You got these little pieces here that represent these boards here that you use for bracing. And it's very important to do bracing. Like in my other video, I said before you paint these, to keep the wood from warping, because the wood is really thin, and when it gets wet with paint, it tends to warp. But if you have the bracing on it, then you have no problem. Now I'm just going to show you an example of how we do this. There's different ways. I mean, I myself don't have a lot of money to put into equipment, so I use the tools that I have. Now, if you do like me, and I use this razor blade here that you can buy in packs at the hardware or your local Walmart. But when you use stuff like this, please be careful not to cut yourself. So what I basically do is, like on this piece here, it's showing that you have 4 main braces, 1 on each end and 2 down the middle. So this is the one we're working on. So what I tend to do is I usually, it says to leave a 1/16 gap minimum at the top, and that's for the roofing. So what I do is I will leave the gap. I will measure it up. I will lay the board actually on there. Measure where I need to cut. I'll put my razor down on the wood. Remove it from the model and keeping where I have it. Push a little bit to get a line to get started in case I slip off. Then I just use my wire cutters and I just basically hammer through it until I get the piece cut. Just like that. And like I said, if you're going to do that, please be careful. Make sure you have all the pieces cut straight. And then here's what I like to use. I like using for all my woodcraft models, I use Elmer's wood glue is the best thing to use for that. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the bracing on there, on all these parts I have, and all the walls where it shows. You don't need much. I just put a little bit on here. Try to keep it clean and so my models look nicer. So I got some glue on there. And then I just simply place it where it needs to go. I usually take my finger while I hold it down and wipe away the excess glue that comes out the side. Make sure I got that where I want it. Just like that. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and brace all the pieces, and then we'll go to the next step. Well, we're back, and we have all the bracing put on the walls, the main structures. And remember when I was saying especially pay attention to the directions? Well, I kind of didn't do that and made a couple mistakes and had to go back and redo it. What happened is I had to add these extra little pieces right here for an interior floor, and I had to remove this one. I did okay, but this one is the one I messed up on. I had to catch it, and I had to take the bracing off and readjust it to get these pieces here to fit in. So like I said, it's very important to pay attention to detail on the instructions, because you never know when you're going to make a mistake. And don't get frustrated if you make mistakes. I've been doing this for about a year now, off and on, and I'm new at the hobby myself, but I make mistakes myself, but they can easily be fixed. Now on this piece here, we added bracing around the windows to make a frame, and that's what the directions called for. So at this point, we are going to let all this dry for a good hour. And then when we come back, I'm going to show you how to make the outside of the building material look rugged and old and wore out by splitting some wood and pulling it up a little bit. And I'll show you how that's done. I learned this on Jason Jensen Trains on how to make the building look more older and worn down. And it's just part of the very fine detailing that you do to models that make it look realistic. So when we come back, I'll show you that procedure and then we'll go from there. Alright, we're back and we have all the bracing dried. And now I will show you the technique I was talking about earlier. I got a fresh new razor here, all sharp, because the other one was getting kind of dull. And it's no good to work with a dull razor. So I'll put all these pieces aside here. And we'll start with this one here. I'll try to get the camera just right so you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully you'll be able to see. Now, like I said, I learned this off another modeler, Jason Jensen, off Jason Jensen's Trains on YouTube. And what you do is you just find where you want to start. I try to stay in the grooves. So I'll start right here and I'll just swipe it a couple times here to make it a little deeper. Then I'll go right under it in the next line and do the same. Then I take the edge right here and cut down in to make a slice. Then I just simply try to go up under the wood. Turn it. Do the same on this side. Takes a little practice, but you'll get it. And all I'm doing is, if you can see that, is I'm lifting up some of the clapboard there to make it look like it's coming apart. And I'll go through and I'll do this on all the pieces. And after I'm done with that, then we will primer and paint and do that technique. So bear with me as I get all my clapboard raised that I want to raise on this, and I'll be right back. Okay, we got all that done. We got the clapboard raised, and I'll show you some pieces here just to give it the look that maybe some wood is rotting on the side or pieces of lumber are coming up and needs repaired. Just little indications here and there. You don't have to do a lot, one or two, or it's really up to you. I do a couple to 3 to 4 pieces on each one. Just lifting up the clapboard. Make it look like the wood's coming apart or it's rotting a little bit. So at this point, we come to this part of the video where we got to decide on the color scheme of what we're going to paint. I mean, you can go by the box or you can use your own imagination. I kind of like to do my own thing, but I think I'm going to go with a basic white board, and then we're going to probably sponge it with some gray, some light colored gray to make it look like the paint's chipping, make it look, older, since we decided to make it look this way by raising some of the clapboard. So at this point, I'll show you what I like to do. I'll take this piece here and we'll get started. So I've got me a little tub here that I put my parts in to paint. I usually go with the crayon colors from Walmart. They're cheap. They ain't very expensive. I believe they're like $3.99 a can. And Rust-Oleum or Krylon. It's paint and primer. So, it's not very expensive. Give the can a good shake. Be sure to paint both sides of this. I usually like to start with the back, as a matter of fact, and do the back part first. Just lightly coat it. Don't have to spray much on the back. Then just pick it up, turn it over. Do the same on the front. I said I was going to go white, and I decided to go with the colonial red instead. You're allowed to change your mind as you go. It's all up to you. It's your world. It's your model. You can decide what color scheme you want to go with. So at this point, we'll probably do this color right here. And then I'll decide on another color to coat it with or sponge it with. Give it a good coat there. Now we're going to do this to all the pieces and let them fully dry. Then we'll come back with the weathering techniques. Alright, the paint has dried. And like I said, we decided to go with this color here. It's a reddish color called Colonial Red. It's from Walmart. And I was going to do it in white, but I decided to go with this color instead. Now if you notice on this piece, I painted it red. And then I put a touch of brown over it from another spray can to give it a worn look, to weather it a bit. Now you can see that the boards are still showing where they are chipping off the board. I've got some signs out here to put. This is a storefront. This goes in the storefront window. This actually goes on the building itself. I believe I'm going to put it on this one here, about right there. Once I decide where I want it, I believe that's where I'm going to put it. So at this point, I'll set the camera down so it don't jerk as much. We're going to weather it. Now, instead of doing the sponge technique like I usually do with the sponge, I was thinking of doing gray, and I decided against it. I'm just going to keep it the color it is, but I'm going to weather it with pastel chalks, which is another method you can use. And just simple pastel chalks you buy at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, Walmart. I believe I got these at Walmart. For this particular color, I'm going to use brown and probably some black. Now the brown's just going to give the wood a faded, weathered look. So, what this is the decking, the floor that goes inside the building. So I'll show you what I do. I basically take my finger and I rub brown on it like this. And get it on my finger. About like that. And I basically rub it on with my finger. What you can see, it's giving it a worn look. Just here and there, wherever you want. It's your world, your imagination. Do the same on this. Use some brown. Here and there. Now what I like to do is on this weathering process is toward the bottom. I always like to go dark. Use a little black. Make it look like maybe the wood's rotting at the bottom for moisture from the ground. Just a touch here and there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and weather all these and add the sign. The thing with the sign is you do the same thing. You just put the sign, You can use sandpaper and sand the back a little bit of it to make it thinner. And then you just glue it on. And I like using clear Elmer's glue for that. Just a touch. Rub it into the wood so the grooves of the wood shows. And then take a little pastel chalk and go over it and make it look weathered. And so from here on out it'll all be weathered, and then we will start putting the structure together. And once we get the structure together, then we'll go from there. Well, we got some of the structure built now. I got the decking glued between the 3 walls like the direction says. I've added a sign there, you can see it, and weathered it. Give you a better, closer look. So the structure is now starting to come together a little bit. There's some gaps here in the corner, if you can see that, which they're supposed to be. And I went ahead and painted a piece of strip wood in here to fill those gaps. And then I've decided to go white with my windows. So when I come back, I'll have the structure pretty much put together and weathered. And the last part of the video will be adding small details and figures of people to your scene to make it look real. And we'll go from there. Hello once again, I'm Uncle Jimmy with Jimmy's Train Station. I have completed the Fensters Farm Fresh Market. I wanted to show you the results. I added a lot of signs, castings to the buildings, figures. I weathered the tops of the roofs to make it look rusted because I decided to go with metal roofing. So here's the finished project. There's one section of the building there. Got my little figure sitting on the steps. Got my signs on the building. My front store window, as you can see, it looks like if you're looking inside, you see all the fruits and vegetables. I have a oil tank to the side there and signs on the other side. A metal casting on top for a vent. I added a sign on the top for a roof. So the thing is to add most detail as you can. The more detail you add to your models, the better it will look. Now here's my second building. Got fruit out there, got a figure standing there, an empty skid, a wheelbarrow of bags, some fruits over here with the ladder. There's the top of my roofs that I weathered. I decided to go with metal. Over on the side over here, there's another sign. Decided to go with the red and the white windows. I left the barn doors natural wood color. Like I said, it's your world, it's your model. You can design it and choose your own colors. It's your world. There's another sign on the back that I did to make it look like it was painted. I sanded through the sign. They gave some holes, made the paper really thin. Then I just simply glued it to the back. So as you can see, it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty proud of it. So that's the end result. So if you'd please subscribe to my channel and like the video, I'd surely appreciate it. And until next time, this is Uncle Jimmy with Jimmy's Trains and Jimmy Train Station. Model 1.